be panel discussion. The name of the session is Exploring OSDU's Potential to Accelerate Digital Transformation in Kazakhstan's Energy Sector. The moderator of this session is Ryan Jarvis, CTO at RockNRG.
Thank you very much, and welcome to our OSDU panel today. We are really excited. We have both an in-person audience and in-person panelists, and we have some remotely participants on the panel. And I will introduce all of them in just a few moments. So the first thing I want to do is introduce those that are participating remotely on the panel. And so we have 3 that are participating remotely. The first one that I want to introduce is very important to this panel. This is Patrick Kelly. He is the chair of the OSDU Forum in the Open Group. I'm grateful to have him with us today. Just a little bit of information about Patrick Kelly. He is currently elected chair of the OSDU Forum at the Open Group. As a technology leader with more than 2 decades of experience, he is involved in the delivery of data energy solutions at the intersection of data, AI, and open source software communities. The OSDU Forum is a community focused on the delivery of standards-based technology-agnostic data platform for the energy industry. This open source data platform will enable the energy industry to stimulate innovation, industrialize data management, and reduce time to market for new solutions. So with that, Patrick Kelly, welcome to the panel. And I'm going to give you a question. You get to answer it first, but every single one of our panelists is going to answer this question. The question is, why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what are you bringing to the table? Go ahead, Patrick.
Thank you, Ryan. I've been involved in the OSDU Forum since almost the beginning, early 2019. And I would say seeing organizations with similar challenges come together and collaborate openly on these solutions was really exciting and inspiring for me. Honestly, I've not been a part of anything like it. So as far as value, I would say I try to bring leadership, which is probably an overlooked contribution to our community. And leadership in a community setting often looks a bit different than traditional leadership. So it often takes the form of consensus building, helping others find information and communicate effectively, connecting the dots, and removing obstacles.
Great. Grateful to have you here, Patrick. Ian Betts from Shell. Ian, wave your hand. Okay, there's Ian. And he is the general manager of Open Data Platforms and a chair of the OSDU Management Committee. This is the OMC within OSDU. Ian Betts is a data and digital leader who has worked for Shell since 2007, driving performance improvement through transformational change and innovative use of data and analytics. From 2013 to 2019, Ian sat on Shell's technical data management leadership team, held the role of SME for data quality, and established the Technical Asset Operations Group, which now provides technical data support for both surface and subsurface, and is a go-to technical capability for Shell assets. His passion for data and digital comes from the power of data to drive integration, innovation, and actionable insights to support decision-making. Ian, grateful to have you. You get the same 2 questions. Why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what value are you bringing?
Thanks, Ryan. Just to check, you can hear me?
Yes.
Very good. So why is collaboration important in this space? Well, everything that Patrick just said, and this is one of those things that's too big to do on our own, and we're very familiar with that in our industry. So coming together to address big challenges, to do big projects, to do great things. We know that the transformation that's going on here around digital and data is just too big, and by collaborating we actually shortcut our way to value by developing what become industry standards. So for me, it's really about the community. It's about bringing people together, and it's about understanding what value looks like across our industry and finding ways to collaborate on these digital infrastructure projects where everybody has something in the game and everybody gets something from the game. So for me, that's why this is so important.
Thanks, Ian. And finally, participating remotely is also Daniel Perna. Now, Daniel works for EPAM. He's a principal in energy data strategy, and he's been a consultant with EPAM systems. He is PPDM certified, petroleum data analyst. He has over 15 years of experience in the upstream oil and gas data management with a focus on wells and subsurface data, both on the operator side and consulting services side. He has filled many roles, including data governance, master data management, data modeling, data quality management, business and analysis, data integration, data engineering and analysis, training, and business intelligence. Daniel has a passion for solving data and interoperability problems, and he is an active contributor to both the OSDU Forum and the PPDM Association. Welcome, Daniel. And the same two questions for you. Why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what value are you bringing?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I think you hit on a couple of points there, even in the bio, as to why I'm so interested in this initiative. I mean, after decades of doing upstream oil and gas data management, I've really developed a passion for organized data foundations and also a passion for interoperability, meaning speaking the same language with regard to data, sharing data within a company and between companies across domains, helping people share to better access and better define data and have what they need at the right time in the right place. And with regard to language and semantics, I mean, concepts like what is a well, what is a completion, what are different rock and fluid analysis types, and more, reference lists and definitions in that regard. And I've been deeply involved, like you mentioned, in PPDM's excellent standards, and now OSDU, which in some ways is a standard of standards, bringing together so many things that have already been functional and developed in the industry. And in the OSDU forum and industry, I've helped to articulate the value of OSDU. And help teams gain a common and clear and aligned understanding on various questions and approaches and forum work groups. And I've been helping companies see how they can adopt OSDU into their data ecosystems and get the value that's promised with OSDU.
Thanks, Daniel. Great to have you here with us. Now we're going to turn our attention to those panelists that are here in person today. First, we have Dan Bachman from ExxonMobil. He is currently the co-leader of the OSDU Communications and Marketing Working Group. Daniel brings over 20 years of experience in the upstream, data architecture, digital, and IT experiences with ExxonMobil. As a leader of the strategy and stewardship team within the upstream data office, Daniel and his team drive strategic imperatives such as OSDU implementation and adoption initiative, the growth of ExxonMobil's upstream data governance program, and other holistic data management strategies. Same two questions for you, Daniel or Dan. Why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what are you bringing to the table?
OSDU collaboration, to build off of what everyone's going to say, I'm sure we're all going to build off of each other here, but there's no problem that's, all the problems that we're dealing with today are bigger than any one company. And the opportunity to collaborate with companies that you probably wouldn't normally collaborate with has been amazing and eye-opening. And for me, on the communications and marketing side, it's been great to interact with people that I probably wouldn't meet with at any other time. So it's the collaboration is refreshing, it's eye-opening, and it's really allowed everybody to really benefit from being in OSDU. So from what we're giving is time. I think that's being active member in OSDU is the dedication that you see within it, and the reason it's moved forward is because it's in many ways it's a volunteer effort. It's a second job to a lot of folks, and a job they try to put first because of the interactions, the relationships they built, and it's really helped build a true community of people that do amazing things together.
Thank you, Dan. Next, we've got Bob Hatugalang from Halliburton. He is the Industry Solution Advisor, 26 years of experience developing and delivering E&P, information management solutions and services to international energy companies, government agencies, and both national and regional oil and gas companies. He has worked in Asia, Australia, United States, and currently based out of London. His current focus is on designing fit-for-purpose information management solutions to clients in Africa and Caspian countries with their unique challenges and opportunities. He also leads the regional team on OSDU engagements with European clients. Bob, same two questions. Why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what value are you bringing?
Thanks for the question. I'm just going to add to what everyone has mentioned. Something specific for Halliburton Landmark is we are writing software for oil industries. So what we want to do, we want to bring innovations faster to the market. The challenge has always been we write codes. When we implement it into the operators, into our clients, it takes a lot of time because the data is not in standard. With OSDU, with the data in standards, we can immediately apply this knowledge, these applications to the marketplace. So what do we bring? Halliburton, we bring, I think, we bring time, we bring people, we bring experience, both in data management and also on the application.
Thank you, Bob. Great to have you here. Next, we have Geraldine McEwen from SLB. She's the Global Business Development Manager. And since joining SLB 20 years ago, Geraldine has held several technical and management positions in Europe and the USA. With a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science, Geraldine has significant experience integrating data and technology to provide solutions for E&P companies. Previous positions including the Data Center Operations Management, Service Delivery Manager, Cloud Transition Manager, now helping clients in the adoption of SLB's next generation data platform technology. So Geraldine, same two questions for you. Why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what value are you bringing?
First of all, hello, and thank you very much for inviting SLB to contribute to this forum. It's been a really fantastic day, and look forward to tomorrow as well. So in 2019, I have a very, very clear memory of being at the SLB forum in Monaco and us actually announcing that we were contributing our code, our data ecosystem code to OSDU. And it's a very personal memory, and I remember thinking, so what does that actually mean for the industry, and what does that mean for SLB? And what I've seen over the last few years, and I actually think this panel is testament to this, is that we are now working collaboratively and working together really to allow us to accelerate as an industry faster. And as an example of that, I'm sitting with my friend Bob here from Halliburton, and that would not have happened a few years ago. And I think that that's an incredibly positive change for the industry, and speaks a lot to not just the service companies' dedication and commitment to working together, but also the operators as well. And it's a very exciting engagement to be a part of. So the second part of your question was, what do we bring to the party? Yeah, I think I'd really like to echo previous comments that yes, we've obviously dedicated a lot of code, which is great, but also the time of our people, the time of our experts sitting in different committees, and not just giving their knowledge, but also learning a lot from our operator friends and also from other service providers. And as I say, the goal really is to move, together faster to build a much more sustainable future. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine. And last but not least, Darius Piotrowski, Director of IBM Data and Analytics Solutions, the OSDU Management Committee member. Darius, he leads the Data and Analytics Solutions development in the energy sector at IBM. He's also the executive sponsor of the IBM OSDU program. He's also a member of the OSDU Forum Management Committee and co-leader of the OSDU Outreach Program. Darius has over 20 years of experience working with oil and gas companies around the world on digital transformation and data analytics and AI initiatives. Darius, same two questions. Why is OSDU collaboration important to you, and what are you bringing to the table?
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. Collaboration is important for the simple reason that we were not able to create such a platform ourselves. We tried, we've spent hundreds of millions, and we ultimately failed. Only coming together, we've achieved what seemed to be impossible before. And what we are bringing together is unique IBM technology based on open source foundations through the Red Hat OpenShift that enables this open data platform that we are building at the forum to run on premise or on country cloud and allow the operators and the regulators to run OSDU platform in the places where data residency is of critical importance.
Darius, that is awesome, because I think all of you need to recognize that this group of panelists and the amount of experience that they've had trying to tackle these problems over the last 2 decades is impressive. So we're grateful to have all of them here. Why don't we give them all a round of a big applause to welcome them as we start our OSDU forum. All right, now I'm going to shift gears a little bit and come and ask some questions directly. First of all, for Dan from ExxonMobil, the question I have is a little bit about digital transformation. So how is the OSDU data platform an enabler for the digital transformation? I need to use this one. Oh, maybe not. That one's all green. Use mine.
Digital transformation, ExxonMobil's taken a business-focused, value-driven approach with OSDU, and it's in support of our digital transformation efforts. OSDU as a platform has enabled us to, as we say, liberate our data out of a lot of proprietary systems. That's freed that data so that we can put it in a system that's trusted with data governance on top of that, and it's enabled us to start to apply machine learning and AI on top of it by combining data out of a lot of different systems that was very difficult to work with before. In addition, OSDU provides a lot of new opportunities, such as direct loading into our OSDU environment from our providers. It supports our vast application portfolio that we use, and it enables us to support multiple data transformations that are occurring across our upstream that all use the same data, so that we only have to store that data once. It's standardized, and the interoperability really enables us to get tremendous value from it.
Fantastic. Bob, I want you to answer the same question, but from the perspective of your company. So if the mic's working.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, there we go.
Right. So I think I'm saying the same way, the same answer, but probably in a different way. Digital transformations is about, in our industry, it's about looking at all the workflows from the geoscience, the subsurface workflow, the drilling well completion workflows, and the production itself workflows. Today, they're all very siloed. So what digital transformation is trying to break all these silos. Now, the way to do it, you're looking at all the applications, but you're looking at all the data platform underneath. And that's where OSDU comes. So if all the applications can honor and can work nicely with the OSDU, and then you can do all integration, automations of your workflow. Another side of the story is you can also have your subsurface interpretations using software vendor 1, your well construction software vendor B, software vendor C. So you as the operator, as the owner of the data, can now see the best way to do my digital transformations using solutions that I pick on one data platform.
I actually want to ask Patrick Kelly a question, because recently there's been a big shift in the OSDU forum to focus on capabilities. And you mentioned workflows. And so on that edge, Patrick, do you want to share with us a little bit about why OSDU shifted from where they were to focus on capabilities and workflows?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Ryan. I think in general, it really comes from taking an outcome focus. So it's easy, I think, sometimes to be a bit activity focused, but really focusing on those outcomes that create value. We heard a little bit of that in Dan's comments as well. You know, taking a value-based approach was important. So again, ultimately, it comes down to helping to steward our great community together and move them in the right direction. And effectively, that focus on capabilities was an intent to focus on the outcomes. These are the valuable outcomes that we can deliver as a community and help give people that sense of direction.
Yeah, that sense of value that can come as a result of OSDU. So thanks so much, Patrick, for that response. Geraldine, the question I have for you is, how does the OSDU data platform and the OSDU forum enable companies and industry partners to move faster together? And you already hinted at this through your introduction. So what do you think?
You know, what I've seen over the last few years is that, you know, a typical approach would be, as Bob said, data siloed. We're using applications in silos, and you know, operators are trying to shuffle data around between applications, and it's difficult for them. It's not particularly efficient, and we are not, as an industry, we're not working in partnership together to really allow us all to move faster together, right? However, with OSDU, with that, you know, common data platform, it allows for interoperability. It allows for the streamlining of workflows. It allows for a faster digital transformation within an operator and really within the industry as a whole. Without the common data platform that is OSDU, we would not be able to garner the speed and the traction to really move into the future, right? So to me, it's a key component of digital transformation and an acceleration of our industry, you know, towards a cleaner and brighter future.
Thank you. There is a tremendous effort provided by EPAM recently to accelerate the adoption of the rock and fluids DDMS. So Daniel Perna is here from EPAM. Daniel, tell us a little bit about how EPAM helped to deliver faster together within the OSDU forum as it pertains to some of those recent contributions.
Sure. Thank you. Well, you're very humble. ExxonMobil was a huge part and a partner in seeing that the rock and fluid space, the rock and fluid domain in OSDU was lacking. And because of everything that we're talking about today, that we want to derive common business value, we want to mature the platform, we want data liberated. We work together to create really accelerate schema development within the forum, and that's within the data definitions aspect of the forum, but also to develop the open source domain data management service for rock and fluid sample data, which we affectionately call RAFs as an acronym. It's good that it works. There's a nice vowel in there. So that was contributed to the forum. It's for routine core analysis, for special core analysis, for geochemistry data. It has those optimized content schemas. So working together, that is a way, that's a way that our whole energy ecosystem can derive value faster. And I think that it's important that it's open sourced as well. Right, various people have talked about the data liberation, and it's valuable that there's no lock-in to one proprietary ecosystem. Now that we have these content schemas, these data definitions, these APIs out there in the industry, that can be utilized by all operators, by all software vendors, to move us all further faster. And just, I don't know, it could be I don't know, it could be a cliche now, but I think it's really true that a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So all of our companies are those ships. As we work together, we all gain that benefit.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. Darius, So there are challenges in adopting such a platform. How do we encourage and promote adoption of the OSDU platform?
Thank you for that question. Indeed, it is a challenge. We all know that oil and gas industry is not the fast-moving, grabbing every newest technology and applying it. It's a very diligent engineering culture that evaluates things before adopting. Rightfully so, given the amount of capital and the risks that are involved, including the human life. So in case of OSDU, it's a similar pattern. First, a lot of watching, then trying, checking, and then carefully bringing it into organizational fold. But to make it easier for oil and gas companies or for others who want to use the platform, software vendors or innovators, the new startups, we adopted the concept of seeing is believing. So we've recently introduced the OSDU testing lab. That pin has a QR code. Any of you would like to scan, it would point you to the place where you could sign up for testing the platform. No costs, no risks. You can go there and test how the OSDU platform runs or test integration with your favorite applications there. In addition to that, we also created an OSDU fully free, no strings attached, fully open source version you can download and just run. It's not supported at all. That's the only cost, I would say, but it's good for academics, it's good for small companies, and you can simply see what the platform do for you. But we also thought of what might be the very first step, which is, why do I even care? Why do I even bother? And of course, we have great speakers here who talked about why it's important for their companies, why it's important for industries. But if you want to go deeper, we also created question and answer community that talks about OSDU value, OSDU adoption, where you can come across similar minded individuals who just want to know more about it. And we have great articles there, great discussion thread about the value of the platform. And with all these three elements, we believe we make it much easier to learn about and test and therefore adopt the platform as a consequence.
Fantastic. Ian, kind of on the vein of platform adoption, the question I have for you is, are regional operators installing OSDU data platform, or is it just suited for super majors?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for the question. It's certainly very well suited to the super majors. That's not a surprise. The majority of the effort and the heavy lifting to date has been done by those organizations, and it really is starting to work. But we also see lots of other operators already adopting, and we're also learning as we go. Because of the nature of the work that we do, the way that we work collaboratively in the open as a community, the learnings are shared. And so over time, it's quickly becoming easier, and almost the barrier to entry is becoming low to near zero, as you just heard from Darius. And so I think it almost is attractive and relevant for any oil and gas operator or any partner in the industry. And it comes down to the real basics. If you care about your data and you want to know where your data is, the lineage of your data and how to utilize your data, then OSDU works regardless of whether you're big or small operator or application vendor. I think there's something there for almost everyone in the industry.
Now to some exciting, a question really about AI. So we've got artificial intelligence, machine learning. We've heard about it earlier in our conference today. So the question I have, and this is going to be for Geraldine, how does the OSDU platform enable AI and machine learning workflows?
Hi. So I think it was, you said it earlier, Ryan, when you said that people had data lakes which quite quickly turned into swamps.
Yeah.
I think, to quote you incorrectly, perhaps. But I think it's actually a really important point, because when we train our ML models or we apply AL algorithms, if that's on a swamp, so to speak, can we really trust the outcome? Why are we training our models on data which we actually don't understand the fidelity or the trust of that data, right? So can we really trust the outcome? So with OSDU, you actually can ingest your data and it's curated, and you can tag it with a level of trust so that when you are training your model and you are running your algorithms, you actually do trust the output. You get a lot of very valuable insights. And to me, that's the value that the OSDU really brings to this new and emerging era, which we are running towards very quickly. So I think it's a key component.
I do too. Darius, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I just have to jump in and build on what Geraldine have said, because I've been building AI applications or analytics applications in my day job for over 10 years, and OSDU makes it like a day and night difference. We often joked that it was 60%, if not more, in analytics work. It was getting the right data, as Geraldine have said. The building the models was the easiest part. Getting the data was the hardest. With OSDU exposing the data, it accelerates this enormously. It's just a breeze. It's fun. It's not a hard work. It's fun. Yeah. It is. It is fun. Absolutely, it is.
So on that note, Patrick, a question about how does collaboration on standards create value and increase efficiencies?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Ryan. And building on those last comments and a few we've heard, I always like to look at the origins of the word standard, which include among them a flag raised as a rallying point, which is interesting because I think we often probably think about standards as a form of measure more typically. But I think that rally point example helps us paint a picture of technology standards really as a place that organizations can come together, align, help us prepare for what's ahead. And it's really about these shared building blocks. So building upon these executable standards to make it fun and easy, like Darius said, to help us innovate faster and more efficiently together. And I think, in fact, you can observe many of the technology advancements that really have built our modern digital world are based on these types of open and specifically open source collaborations. So whether it's the core of the modern internet or increasingly these days, things like large language models and their ecosystem, we see these types of open collaborations enabled by standards really helps us to focus our precious time and effort on innovation.
Great, thanks. Dan from ExxonMobil, what kind of value or opportunities are you seeing at ExxonMobil as pertaining to the efficiencies that you can gain from having such a platform in operation?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a couple of things we've mentioned from the standards perspective. There was always a cost with working with anybody else. If I had data, I need to share that data, then there was time to map it to their systems or map it into my own systems. And what you're seeing is much quicker collaboration these days. There's a lot less effort that's spent transforming data, a lot more effort using it. It's allowing direct access, things that we couldn't easily do on our own systems, on our own proprietary systems. So the aspect of now you could start to think of, instead of having to create a package of data to send to somebody, you could just give them access to your own OSDU instance and just to the data they need. But that simplifies things. It shortens the time frame on efforts and helps everyone work so much more efficiently together.
Great, thank you. There's quite a few complex structures that are out there on how companies can work together. Some of these are called joint ventures. Even here in Kazakhstan, there are a lot of very complex arrangements or agreements with multiple companies. So in that sort of vein, how in the world can we work together, or how does the OSDU data platform handle such complex partnerships? And I want to give this question first to Ian.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, this is one for me. This is one of the really exciting value cases for our industry and what we're doing here. And it comes down to two things for me. First of all, it comes down to common language, and that's what we get through industry standardization, and that's what we're all working towards. So that when you're in complex relationships or structures, we define things the same, we talk about things in the same way, we operate in similar ways, and then the beauty of OSDU is that we are collaborating on the non-value differentiating areas, and then we compete on the things that really make a difference in our industry. The second thing for me is then around interoperability. In complex ownership or organizational structures, the easier information can flow between partners, whether it's within the venture or from ventures to venture partners. It has to be beneficial to everyone to minimize the friction, the overhead, the cost that's associated with these things, which I'm sure in Kazakhstan is very well understood, probably more than almost anywhere on the planet. And so I think for me, those are the two things, the common language and the interoperability that allows us to work together in better ways.
Bob, I saw you shaking your head pretty good at that. So anything you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at the case that we have today, we have an operator which has data in their system, which has data in the government agencies, which has data in their partner clouds, and they have a complex system. Now, how do I do this process seamlessly if they're all using different system, different data? This has now changed. Everyone is adopting OSDU. So there is one OSDU. Company A, the agency use OSDU. The software vendor use OSDU. The operator use OSDU, and they can immediately run all this process. Another beautiful thing is OSDU is modern architecture. It's using microservices. It's scalable. So all these new things that you can get from the cloud computing, you can use it for your workflow. Thank you.
On the thought of how do we get OSDU adopted and how do we get it integrated into our schools and our educational facilities, what opportunities do we see with the OSDU platform, or what experiences have we had with universities that are becoming involved and being able to allow students to have access? So part of this question I have for Patrick Kelly, since he's the chair of OSDU, what type of situations have we seen where OSDU has been an uplift for an educational facility?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I think the OSDU Forum in our community is really a fantastic place to grow our talent. So I know one of the things I'm always personally searching for in my work is working alongside those that can teach me something and really help grow my understanding. And the OSDU Forum is a really unique community that includes experts from fields as diverse as geodesy to, like Bob was saying, building modern hyperscale cloud services. And I would say it's not too often you find that broad of a range of experts together in one place. So not only do we have world-class experts to work alongside, but also these platforms that these experts are building are really at the cutting edge of the tools that we will be using in many of our communities' operations now and in the future. So I would always say the OSDU Forum is a fantastic place for us to grow industry talent, to help us prepare the students for the tools that they'll be using in their future roles.
Geraldine, do you have any comments on, I know that you've been very involved with encouraging academia. So do you have any comments on how universities can also become involved in the OSDU platform?
Yeah, I think it's actually part of a much broader question. Being Scottish, I know that I think our top export is actually whiskey, but second, and a very close second, is our talent pool, right? So we have highly educated young people, and then they leave for what they believe to be a kind of richer and more fertile employment landscape, right? I was very impressed this morning when the ministry were showing us the opportunities that they have in Kazakhstan with there's a lot of startups, there's incubation, there's a real drive to retain talent in country. I believe the top four, from the top 5 universities in the world, the top 4 are actually within, or 4 of those universities are within Kazakhstan itself. So that actually shows that, there's a very rich young demographic here that are very highly educated, and so you would absolutely want to retain them in country. But I believe that the more that we can work with universities in Kazakhstan, but also globally, to really get this message out that this is the modern data platform. This is where collaboration, cross-industry collaboration, can really show a benefit to all. I think it sends a very positive message, and I think for Kazakhstan especially, not only obviously you've done a lot of initiatives to retain that talent in country, but also it'll allow you to, adopting OSDU would really allow to pull that talent in from overseas as well, which is an incredible benefit. Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel, Perna, a question, because I know that EPAM has been involved in training others in OSDU. How have you seen that training provide this incubation of talent across the industry and help to promote, university and even older professionals become involved in the OSDU platform?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, from the beginning, some of our EPAM experts got really involved learning what in the world is this platform? How does it work? For example, I collaborated with a solution architect who taught the technical aspects of OSDU. And in those boot camps, I taught, some of the business and the data management aspects of it. Yeah, I think OSDU is tying together. It really needs, sort of building on what Patrick said, it really needs a lot of skills, right? It needs everything from the domain experts to the data management experts to the technological experts, infrastructure, platform, but also like I talked about earlier, which is one of my passions around what the data means, the semantics and so on. So I think OSDU is a vehicle, and training around OSDU is a vehicle that really necessitates people in those different domains learning about what the other domain is, right? So we have petrophysicists and geophysicists that don't necessarily have never really dealt with microservices and APIs and those sorts of things. And they're sort of, to some extent, they're forced to learn what those things are and the difference between normalized and denormalized data models and data consumption patterns and those sorts of things. And that's not to say that has to be the bread and butter of their day-to-day job, but boy, does it foster communication across the the business domain and the data management aspects and the technology aspects. So yeah, as a services company, we offer that training to clients. We've done training within the context of the forum, and it's good. It fosters that communication and collaboration amongst people in the same way that we want the platform to foster that collaboration and access to data.
Thank you, Daniel. Before I open up questions to the audience, the last questions that we're going to have for our panelists is going to be about sustainability. It's one of the key concepts behind OSDU. We've kind of touched on it a little bit with getting talent and making sure that we have a pathway to encourage the continuation of talent being prepared to bridge the gap between a lot of the SMEs and the technical. So as you consider sustainability, and this is an open question, so if you raise your hand first, you might be able to answer first. How is OSDU becoming something that is sustainable? So I don't see any hands yet, so I'm looking for a little finger at least. I'm not going to answer the question. Oh, there we go. Patrick Kelly.
Thanks, Ryan. So I think, we've talked a lot today about innovation and efficiency and the need to go faster. So I would always say, successfully meeting the world's growing demand for energy, it's going to take innovation on a scale really for which there's little to compare with. We know our energy data is complex. It comes with a lot of unique challenges, not just in size and scope, but also in its high context nature, some of Daniel's comments. So I think the forum really sets itself up to provide a sustainable capability. Darius even mentioned it a bit earlier. We've made significant investments in this space and industry, not always successfully. So we need to work differently together. And so we know that, what we've seen so far is that bringing these experts together is helping us to enable innovation faster and more efficiently, ultimately to deliver us a sustainable platform together.
Thanks, Patrick. Before Darius goes, I need to shift just a little bit. I'll come back to you. Ian, this also delves right into the energy transition. So sustainability, energy transition, any comments that you have on how OSDU can not only provide sustainability, but also be the choice for the energy transition?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I was going to come back this one from two angles. There's sustainability of the OSDU forum and the OSDU data platform itself. 3 years ago, the accusation was it was just a science experiment. We're way beyond that now. We're adopting it in many of these large organizations that we represent here today and many others. And we're doing that because we have trust and confidence in it, that it is a sustainable solution. We are building our businesses on it, and it needs to therefore be robust, etc., etc. The other angle then is the one that you were just talking to, which is also very exciting. The underlying technology is replicable into many different domains. And so I think what we'll see in the coming 5+ years is that the architecture and the approach that we're taking, it will certainly be something that is used to underpin the evolution of energy beyond hydrocarbons into asset management, into wind and solar, and beyond. Who knows? Things like carbon capture are very natural extension areas that we are starting to look at. But the technology itself is also being looked at and adopted by other industries. The idea of collaborative building of technology, open source as a way of working, decoupling applications from data, treating data as a valued asset. The banking sector is looking at this as a model. The retail sector is looking at this as a model. So we're at the forefront. No, we're ahead of the curve in this industry, as we often are. In this digitalization effort, we really are ahead of the curve. And so I see many areas for us to move into. But clearly for this room and for this group of people on the stage today, the energy transition is very much forefront of our mind. So as we're leading the organization forward, we're starting to think about the pivot into some of those other areas of the energy transition. And the platform will grow new capabilities all the time. And who knows where we'll end up, but it's a very exciting journey.
Thanks, Ian. Darius, did you want to mention your comment?
Actually, it has been quite well said. So not much to add other than maybe illustrate it. If the platform was created by one organization, this would be the single point of failure, because it's such a community group. It is truly sustainable by the fact that even if 1 or 2 companies change their mind, the rest will carry the torch. And on Ian's point of supporting energy transition, we know how often technology change and how finicky it is. Something that was appropriate now, 5 years from now, will not be for sure. Again, by this platform being by design evergreen, you may look at it 10 years from now and look, everything changed. Applications I'm using changed, the technology changed. But this, strangely enough, is one solid thing that stays, because effectively it's the data platform for the industry created by the industry. So by design, it stays current and meets the needs of those very groups that create it.
Thanks, Darius. Okay, we're now going to change it up and invite the audience to participate. If you want to participate, there'll be a mic being taken around. We ask that you would say your name, what company that you're representing, and then you can address any one of the panelists. You can choose, or you can leave it open. But we now invite you to ask questions to these panelists that you might have. Yes, we only have 10 minutes. So 10 minutes of questions.
Thank you very much. I want to ask a question in general, if you have any claims. You mentioned about quick time to market for small companies, for startups, and kind of things. And I wanted to share, if you have any information, if there is any particular case on this. For example, if one employee of a big oil major company could pick up a solution and try it through OSD platform. And if there is any case and if there is any numbers, if you could share, it could help us navigate through. Thank you.
Any volunteers to answer that question? Okay, Patrick Kelly, go ahead.
Thanks, Ryan. I would always answer that question and say there's probably two great ways to get started. Darius mentioned there is a downloadable platform. So we are always in need of feedback. It is kind of, use at your own risk, but it's a great way to get started if you're very motivated and technical. So you can find that on our community GitLab site, which is accessible and open. Again, all of this is delivered under an open source license. If you need a little more help, then I would suggest one of the best ways is usually to engage with your preferred cloud provider. So again, many of those technology companies are deeply involved in our space. And so if you need a little help getting started, it's often a good thing to go talk to one of those members and get them to give you a little help.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing, is that if you get a hold of one of the cloud providers, right now there's 4 major ones that are involved in OSDU. You've got Amazon, AWS, Microsoft, IBM, and Google. They have, by their own practices, created a lot of use cases. And so they may have some use cases that may relate to what you're trying to do as well. Bob?
Yeah, I just want to add, maybe there was a forum, OSDU forum in April in London. And one of the presenters was actually a lecturer from university. So they try OSDU and it worked for a certain algorithm that they want to use for seismic interpretation. Right? Very small, 3 people looking at it, and then it works quickly because they understand how the API to bring the data can find and then use the data. I don't have a specific example for startup, but I can see that trend. Having 3-4 people in one organization do answer specific problem, I guess I can immediately bring to the market, because we can go to any company, any operators that are using OSDU and start presenting it, which you couldn't do before.
It kind of reminds me of like the iPhone apps. It seems like anybody can write an app nowadays, and you can install it and use it. We kind of would like OSDU to get to that point. We're not there yet, but that's a good future. Yes, Geraldine.
We had an OSDU forum in Houston last week. I think there's 2 a year. And I really would encourage you to perhaps come along to the next one, because there was a lot of small kind of innovative companies there that you could talk to and share those experiences. And there's a lot of presentations as well. So it would really give you a lot of insight, I think, into, what small companies, what innovative companies are doing. So I would really encourage you to do that.
Darius?
And also, OSDU is truly encouraging such an innovation that the smaller startup companies provide. So in addition to OSDU platform that Patrick mentioned can be downloaded, there is also data, Volve dataset, TNO datasets. So not only you can get the platform, you can also get the data to show what your application can do with it. That might come helpful in demonstrating the value to your potential clients or investors.
We see your hand up, Daniel. Perna?
Yeah, building on this topic and what Geraldine said, even about the Houston face-to-face. One, I mean, it's not necessarily a startup example per se, but one of the presentations was on an application called EM Trust, which in the course of, I'll say 3 or 4 months, a fairly full-featured application with a nice user interface, interacting directly with OSDU data, directly on the OSDU data platform. Multiple people in this room were actually involved with the requirements and the creation of that application. It does data governance on OSDU data, and it's something that's intended to be used in the very near future across the industry. That's an example of the way that an application like that can spin up and immediately be usable by anybody who has an OSDU data platform.
Thanks, Daniel. We'll go to the next question.
Okay, thank you so much. Wonderful panel. I guess it's always great to learn more about OSDU. And my name is Marat Kouatov. I'm from TCO. My question will not be on behalf of TCO. Also, we really looking forward to the value that OSDU may and will bring in the future as part of our Triple Crown partnership that we're part of. I guess I'll build up on some of the discussion that we already had on the smaller startup and IT companies leveraging the OSDU. And I would like to connect it to the earlier presentation we had in the morning from the ministry on the Kazakhstan aspiration to become IT nation and increase the IT expert to 1 billion by 2027 or 8, I think. So I'm very curious, since we have in Kazakhstan major oil companies working on some giant challenging assets, which means that we also have lots of local IT specialists and professionals who were part of these projects and have domain knowledge or can at least understand some of the challenges within the oil and gas, and then they pursue their career as a separate, maybe smaller startups or companies. So very curious, trying to understand if there is opportunity for smaller startups who can leverage OSDU to commercialize their efforts, like would major oil companies be open to using the very small companies solutions built on OSDU? And the question to the tech providers that we also have on the stage and online, if I'm curious if they feel pressure of potential added competition in that space from smaller companies building solutions within OSDU. Thanks.
Yeah, both your questions are very important. Your first one, operators that are on the panel. Dan, do you want to
I can
answer?
take that.
Okay.
I know from an ExxonMobil perspective, we're very keen on really OSDU compatibility is really becoming a key factor in our decision as we're looking at a new option. So that has been something we've been very public on, and it's something we're going to continue to look forward on. So big or small, it's that OSDU compatibility and to be able to run on there is dreadfully important for us, because it helps make sure things can go very quickly from day one. So from that perspective, yes, absolutely. It's it opens the door to so many new possibilities that may not have been as easy before.
Yeah, and on the other side, you want to answer, Geraldine?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the concept of tech companies not working together is somewhat outdated, right? I think there's nothing more exciting than being able to work really agilely with a small startup company, even somewhere as big as SLB, right? If someone comes to you with a great idea and they want to partner and they want to be innovative and creative together, then absolutely, why not? I think that's fantastic. And I think we all benefit from it, right? We benefit from the ideas of a small startup, and they also benefit from the process that we can help them to embed within that application and make it more commercial and more robust. So I think, and ultimately the consumers of the tech are always the winners, right? So I think it's a great idea. So you have my number, so give me a phone if you know anyone.
When I used to work for ExxonMobil, I would go to these presentations and I would say, they would ask me, how many people are working for you? And I would say, well, if you count the industry, I have hundreds of people that have listened to our business requirements and they're starting to create solutions. And so the OSDU community is very actively engaged in helping, because a lot of the problems are the same problems. And but sometimes just a different perspective, even a small startup company could bring, may help solve a particular problem better than it has ever been solved before. And so it's very inclusive. Go ahead, Dan.
I just want to add, I mean, the meetings that we have and the discussions that we have on a weekly basis, it doesn't matter which company you are, how big or small, you're bringing your opinion, you're bringing thoughts, you're helping to build a big solution. So everyone's voice is on an even level at that point, and it really brings up new ideas that you wouldn't have ever heard before. So new perspectives, big or small companies, lots of different asset types, lots of different companies that have different backgrounds. It's all equal, and everyone's working together on a solution. So there is, I think it's important to also just state that that active kind of participation also drives a lot of new opportunities.
All right, our time is up. Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone's participation in the panel. Thank you.
And we have one more session here in this room. Let me introduce our next speaker, Matthew Masham, National Upstream Gateway Manager at Schlumberger. And the name of the presentation, Digital Technology Supporting the Acceleration of Exploration.